So, hey guys, welcome back to another lesson in basic grammar. So, for today's lesson, we'll learn about the differences of I've got and I have. So, what actually is the difference between I have, I've got, he has, he's got? Well, there is none. There's no difference between the two. The only thing is, one is more formal than the other. Now, which is more formal? The I have got is more formal than I have. Okay, so here we'll learn how to make a sentence using I have or I have got. So, here, when we make a sentence, we have to use these pronouns with have, or have got. I have, we have, you have, they have. And for has, we should use he has, she has, or it has. Okay, now, we'll read the examples here in section A. So, first example sentence is, I have blue eyes, or I've got blue eyes. These sentences have both the same value in a sense, but the formality of how you say it is different. So, I have got blue eyes is more formal than say, I have blue eyes. In this sentence, I have blue eyes, the got is understood to be here in between have and blue eyes. Okay, so next sentence is, the house has 6 bedrooms, or the house has got 6 bedrooms. Okay, why do we use has here instead of have? Okay, so we use has here because we're referring to the house. See, the house. When we're talking about things, we use it as a pronoun. So since house is replaced by the pronoun it, that is why we have to use has and not have. Okay, for the next sentence, Li Jing isn't feeling well. She has a headache, or she's got a headache. So, we'll talk about now here the contraction, she's. When contracting pronouns with the be verb has or have, we remove the HA of both has or have, and we will be left with S for has and VE for have. We put the apostrophe as a placeholder for the missing letters. That's why we have she's. And in the case of I've. Okay, so the next sentence. They have a horse, 3 dogs, and 3 cats. They've got a horse, 3 dogs, and 3 cats. Okay, so again, we must remember that for specific pronouns, there is a specific be verb that has to be used. So remember, I, we, you, and they, we must use have. For he, she, it, we must use the be verb has. Okay, so now we've learned the structure of creating a sentence using have and has. Now we have to learn how or when we use these types of, this type of be verb. Okay, so we usually use these be verbs when we talk about something that we own or something that we feel. Okay? Okay. So, remember, we use these I have, I've got to show ownership of something, or how we feel about something. Then, let's proceed to B. Here, we're going to talk about how to create the negative form of these words. I have and I've got. So, to create the negative form of these verbs, we use don't or doesn't. Doesn't before have if there is no got. For example, here, if we don't use got or we don't use have got, we just use have, we put the negatives don't or doesn't before the be verb have or has, but after the pronoun or the subject. So to create the negative for the pronouns I, we, you, they, we use the negative don't or do not before have. And for the pronouns he, she, it, we use the negative doesn't before the be verb have. Okay. Now we'll talk about the got, if it's have got or has got. So, for the pronoun I, we, you, they, we must use the contraction of have not, haven't. See? To create the negative of have not as a contraction, we remove the O from not, replacing it with an apostrophe to form the word haven't. So, I, we, you, they haven't got. Okay? So, for the pronouns he, she, it, we must use hasn't. Same as we did for haven't, we remove the O from the not and replace it with an apostrophe to make the form hasn't. So it will read as he, she, it hasn't got. Okay, so now we've learned the structure or the form of the negative of have or hasn't got. We must learn when do we use these words. We use them to show the lack of something. So the lack of ownership, the lack of feeling. So for example, in the first sentence, I have a bike, but I do not have a car. Or, I've got a bike, but I haven't got a car. So in this sentence, first sentence, we are using both the positive and the negative forms of have. First, I have a bike. That means the subject I owns a bike. But the same subject I does not own a car. Okay? So, in this sentence with got, it means the exact same thing, except this one with got is more formal. Okay, now, for the second sentence, this one, Mr. and Mrs. Harris don't have any children, or Mr. and Mrs. Harris haven't got any children. Okay, so for this sentence, we're talking about Mr. and Mrs. Harris, and if they have any children. But since we're using don't have, it means they do not have children, or means they were not able to bear a child. Okay, now, for the third sentence, it's a nice house, but it doesn't have a garage. Or, it's a nice house, but it hasn't got a garage. So for this sentence, we're talking about house. The house is our topic, but we're trying to say in this sentence it does not have a garage. For everyone's information, a garage is a place where we park cars. Motorcycles, or any type of motorized vehicle. Okay, so this means this house, it's nice, but it does not have a car, a garage, or a place to park a car or any kind of motorized vehicle. Okay, so going on to the next sentence, we have this sentence. Mariko doesn't have a job, or Mariko hasn't got a job. This time, we're talking about Mariko as our subject. And we're talking if he or she, I'm not sure, has a job or has work. But since we have doesn't have as our modifier, it means Mariko does not have a job, or it means he or she doesn't have work. Okay, so if any of you have any questions, please just write them down in the comments and I'll read them later, or when I have the time, I'll answer them. Okay, so let's move on to our next topic right here, C. Now, we're gonna use have or have you got in a question form. Okay, so for this to make have and have got into a question form, we have to use the words do, or for have we have to use do. So we use do for the pronouns I, we, you, they. And please take note that we use do before the pronoun and the be verb have. So do I, we, you, they have. Then what you're asking about. For the pronouns he, she, it, we use does and have. Okay, so do, does, she, he, it, have, then the thing you're looking for. Okay, now for have got, we have to use have in the beginning of our question. So, if we look back here in our sentence making of have or have got, we use have after the pronoun. But to ask a question, have must come before the pronoun, or must come before the pronoun. So, have I, we, you, they got, or has she, he, it got. Okay, before I proceed, there's a question from Excel Troy Belicena. Is it correct to use I does have? Okay, so we cannot use I does have, okay? So it is grammatically incorrect to use that in your sentence. Because make it as a rule that if we use I, we must use the question do, okay? So I do have, but it is not in a question form. It could be used I do have as a form of an answer to a question, do you have? So, for example, I'll make an example sentence. I'm asking someone, do you have a pencil? And you could say, yes, I do have a pencil, okay? I hope that cleared things up. And now we will proceed to our example sentences. So the first sentence right here, it is, do you have a camera? Or have you got a camera? So we see in this example, without the got, we start with do, you have a camera. So remember, for you, we must use do, then our pronoun, our be verb, then the thing we are asking for. This is the same, except when you use got, we must start with your be verb have, then the pronoun, then got, then the thing that you're looking for, or the thing that you want. Okay, so for the second sentence, does Anne have a car, or has Anne got a car? Okay, so same thing here, okay, in the beginning, but you might ask, this is a proper noun, not a pronoun. How do I know what should I use, do or does? Well, if you're confused, just replace the proper noun into a pronoun. So, Anne. Let's replace Anne with a pronoun. So, Anne is a female name. So, we replace it with the pronoun she, since she is the female pronoun. So, since it's she, this tells us that we have to use does. So, does she have a car? So, if you have a question about that, I hope it answered that. So, the same goes here for here. Anne. Anne is a female name, so we have to replace it with the female pronoun she. And we have to use has. So, has she got a car? Okay, now let's go on to our next question, our next sentence. What kind of car does she have? Okay, so this question is different from the ones from above because it starts with a WH. So this is a WH question. So for WH questions, you can write them by starting with a WH question starter, the 5 W's, what, when, where, who, why, followed by the thing that you're asking for. Then you do your do, does, pronoun, have. Or if you want to use got and be more formal, you have to follow the WH question, the thing that you want, has, pronoun, then got. Okay? Okay, next we'll do the last example question. What do you have in your bag? Or what have you got in your bag? Okay, so in this is flexible. The WH question is flexible. You can either have the do, does, pronoun have at the end or at the beginning. It just depends on how you want to sound in your question. So, you can also make this question right here. What car? Yeah, so what does she have? Okay, so for this one, usually you have to start with do. So, what do you have in your bag? So, what do, or what does she have? What does she have? So, if it's like that, what does she have? That usually has a sentence before this. It would be like, I have a brown car. What does she have? Okay, so that's how you make this sentence that starts with a does. And this one, what do you have in your bag? So if you want to start if you want to follow what, your WH question, with your do, you must have something at the end to help modify it so that we can know what you're trying to ask for. Okay? I hope if anyone has any questions, just ask them in the comments below. Okay? Okay, so for short answers. Okay, so these are the answers that you want to say if you have a question asked to you. So, for the first one, do you have a camera? You usually say, yes, I do, or no, you don't. Or, have you got a camera? Yes, I have. No, I haven't. So, whatever the person starts with, either do, have, does, has, we just put that at the end. After our yes, our pronoun, then we use the one that they started with. So, yes, pronoun do, yes, pronoun have, or if it's does, yes, she does, yes, pronoun has. Okay? So, if you want it for a negative, so no, just add not at the end. So no, I do not. No, I have not. No, she does not. Or no, she hasn't. So now that we're finished trying to explain this, let's practice our exercises right here. Okay, so we have to, in our first exercise, 9.1, we have to rewrite these sentences with have got, hasn't got, or have got, etc. So the first sentence here is they have a car. To rewrite this sentence with got, we have to rewrite it as they've got a car. So in number 2, Bill has a headache. So the first one, to answer this, we have to put it with a got. So we could write Bill has, this is difficult. So we could write as Bill has got a headache. Okay? Okay. So the next one, we have to use the next one. We have I do not have any free time. So to change this, we could write it as we could rewrite this as I haven't got any free time. So we remove the don't and we replace have with haven't. So again, have, then not, apostrophe T, N-O-T. The apostrophe represents the removed O. Okay, so the next one, we have, do you have a watch? So we have to replace it with have got. So we have to start it with have, so have, then you, then we use the got. So have you got a watch? And there, number 5, we have a lot of work in the office right now. So have, we just need to add a got there because it's just a plain sentence. We have got a lot of work at the office now. And finally, number 6, my brother doesn't have a college degree. So since my brother is he, we should use has, right? So my brother hasn't got, okay, so hasn't there, hasn't got a college degree. Okay, so next one is we have to rewrite these sentences without got. So we have to do the reverse of what we did in the previous exercise. So Yoshi hasn't got the time to go with us. If we replace it, it is Yoshi doesn't have time to go with us. Okay, now you've got a phone call from Japan. So you have got a phone call from Japan. So if we replace it with have, it is you have a phone call from Japan. This one, have you got any aspirin? So to make this into a sentence without got, we must write it as do you have any aspirin? Okay, number 10, Sarah hasn't got a lot of money. So we have to write this as Sarah doesn't have much money. Okay, so number 11, have your parents got any friends in Hawaii? So we have to write this as do your parents. So do your parents have any friends in Hawaii? Okay. So for the next one, here, we have to write about Tina and you. We have to use has got, hasn't got, have got, or haven't got. Okay, so for the first one, a camera. Tina has got a camera, or I've got a camera, or I haven't got a camera. So bicycle. We notice that there's an X here. This means she doesn't have a bicycle. So we have to say Tina hasn't got hasn't got a camera. And then we could say, I haven't. We can say, I haven't got a camera. And for number 3, long hair, we could say that Tina has got long hair, because you can see she has long hair. And we can say, I haven't got long hair. And for brothers and sisters, you can see she has brothers and sisters, so we could say, Tina has got brothers and sisters. And for me, I don't have, so I say, I haven't got any brothers and sisters. So this is the end of our class, and I hope to see you in the next lesson of basic grammar. Bye-bye!